I don't know about you, but when I travel, I want to get straight to the creative heart of the city. I want to find the creative individuals. I want to find the lesser known spaces. I want to see what's going on in the markets. So I have a tendency to pick up the paperwork that is hidden around the place. And this little video is taking you through some of the things that I've found along my travels in 2014, from Dubai to Denmark, from Glasgow to Gallery Holtegard, and places in Hong Kong, places in Brighton. So a right old mixture, and these are just a few of my highlights. So now in season 4, it's attracting quite a wide crowd. So we're not just talking about the designers who are based in Dubai and the UAE, but it's certainly becoming a magnet for other designers from across the wider Gulf area. And to just take a quick look at who was there this year, we've got the likes of Starch, bringing in people like Timi Hayek and Rhea Morkos. So that's a Lebanese set. We've got the UAE set of Emperor 1688, more British Lebanese with House of Ronald. Quite a Lebanese focus this year. A Persian, an Indian mix with Moral, all the way through to Kuwaiti, an Indian mix in Tahir Sultan, Omanis in Endamage, Persian and Emirati with Zarina, back to the Lebanese with Bashar, and finishing on sort of the home turf via a bit of Saudi of Asudari, home turf from Madir al-Sharqi from Fujairah, and closing the event, as always, Amato. So a huge variety. And then added to that, people like Jessica Michaud of Now Fashion. Yasmin Le Bon visited for the first time and gave a talk. Ritu of Women's Wear Daily was here. Now, admittedly, she spends quite a lot of time in the Middle East, being the Middle East correspondent, but on stage for the first time this time, and discussions about hot topics like modest fashion. One of my favourite additions to the magazines and the newsagent shelves of Scotland is Hope Street magazine, now on issue 3, set up by a local stylist. And what I enjoy the most about this is that, whilst of course these are advertising driven publications, we're not just seeing the usual suspects in here. We're seeing local designers. This issue features the work of Obscure Couture, Ewan McWhirter, Rachel Entwistle. All sorts of folks are in here that you wouldn't otherwise get to see if you were looking at Vogue or similar. So limited edition is running over an ocean terminal in Leith near Edinburgh, and that brings 21 designers from across Scotland, 2 of whom I'm showing you here, the work of Helen Ruth and the work of Daniel Rattray, but a whole mix from interiors products all the way through to menswear, womenswear and accessories at a huge variety of price points. If you're in Glasgow, then pick up a copy of Grid, which will indicate where all the spaces are, and use that to take yourself east, would be my suggestion. Go and look at the work that's going on at David Dale Gallery. Now, they've been around for 2 or 3 years. They've taken on a gorgeous space and updated it in the heartland of sort of small industrial spaces in the east. So gorgeous building with really interesting shows. So I'd recommend heading in that direction, and then find yourself something to eat and drink in Denniston to top it off. This time I've been to Brighton. I've known it to be a kind of centre of independent retail for quite a long time, so it's always a place I return to see what's going on. I quite often start in the lanes, and Tribeca would be high on my list of women's wear to go and have a look at, but there are also plenty of makers and jewellers to take a look at. And then the delights of things like utility, if you're wanting the sort of practical, slightly retro, but not entirely, sense of design. Heading for some of the jewellery shops, heading for some of the local shoe shops. There's sculpture, there's kind of collectives of people getting together. What else have I found? There's plenty of burlesque in Brighton. A variety of events that you want to look out for. That was a fashion. And then there was Brighton Fashion Week. Who knew? I certainly didn't, that Brighton had its own fashion week. So I'd say start with Street Hub, enjoy the lanes, pick up a good coffee along the way, and explore the variety of independent retailers. Enjoy. I spent a week in Hong Kong this year doing some work for Sotheby's Institute, and in the course of that, unsurprisingly, I went and had a look around to see what the other creative and cultural organisations were that might tickle my fancy and worth showing to the world. Pick up an art map. Hint number one. There are a variety of them, the most comprehensive of which is the Gallery Guide. And what I like about these guys is that they've taken on a retail space and they're bringing to our attention not just their work, which you can see here, but that of a number of other local designers. So it's the nearest thing to a multi-brand store that you will find within a space that's about, 20 feet by 10. So a gorgeous set of designs of their own and a few other things to play with. So I'd say go hunt them out. I've no idea what they're stocking at the moment, but it's a good place to start. And if you want a greater idea of the sort of fashion local output, then I would say go to Not Just a Label and look for the designers that they're representing as another indicator of what's around in Hong Kong. The work that took me, or continues to take me, up to Sweden and Denmark is working with the smaller non-profit visual arts spaces. So there's the work that gets reflected in these sort of annual tomes of development, and then the place that I start is Den Free in Denmark, in Copenhagen. They've been around for 100+ years of showing contemporary art, so a good place. Now they're one of a set of about 16 to 18 small contemporary sort of Kunsthalle sized spaces in Denmark. The next one that I'd recommend is, and I'm not going to pronounce this correctly, but Gallery Holtegard, which is about an hour out of Copenhagen, has fantastic gardens, so worth a look at those for the sculpture. This map, well I say map, summary of what those smaller spaces are. So here's your list of places to try out and go looking for above and beyond the kind of big spaces. Of course, there are some more sort of local maps for bits of Copenhagen, so pick those up along the way. This set of buildings is in the sort of meat packing and meat market area. Gorgeous buildings now, many of which being converted into cultural spaces. That's more on the garden out in Holtegard. And this is the little piece that goes, that's where I was hunting for on that map. It's the architectural photography crowd who've taken on one of the buildings there. And then you've got the sort of big guys as well, so for sure don't miss them out. And you'll be pleased to know that there are indeed art guides to keep you busy as well. So there's a good selection of maps and regular publications looking at what's on and about in Copenhagen. And to top it all off, there's the Cope Quarterly, which gives you a good combination of all sorts of creative reviews and adds into it quite a lot of the retail spaces. So if you want to add shopping to your list, then Copenhagen is an excellent place to go. Personally, I'd say add it to the summer swimming in the 5 harbour pools that they've now constructed. So plenty to do in Copenhagen.